Right, so I've called this my journey to create a virtual choir. It's a pity you haven't got any more people, but that's okay. We'll carry on. Here we go then. All right, the news was mildly troubling. China had a virus scare in a city called Wuhan. They were forced to lock down. What did that mean? Was nobody allowed to go out? How do they get their provisions? How do they organize distribution of vital goods? These questions were to become all too apparent to us. Now, we all have a story to tell regarding lockdown. However, from a personal point of view, my story starts at the point where my daughter was visiting from Canada back in March. We were invited to attend my niece's wedding. Spain and Italy had corona. News of their lockdown meant that it was getting close to the United Kingdom. Television reports showed Italians singing from the balconies. The word was that we were going to tough it out and develop herd immunity, I should say. Meanwhile, Nightingale hospitals were being set up in London as the first cases of COVID-19 were reported. At length, even Boris Johnson succumbed. As the days passed, there were questions of whether my niece's wedding was going to take place. Then my daughter received a panic text from Canada to say that her airline was ceasing flights in the ensuing days, and she was advised to contact them to get a flight home. She left on Thursday the 19th of March, 2 days before the wedding. Hotels were closing and finally the wedding was officially cancelled. Meeting places were closing down and social groups like ours were affected. News of lockdown was issued on Sunday and Monday of the 23rd. On Monday the 23rd, and it would be fully implemented by the Thursday when Boris Johnson made his speech to the nation. And if you recall, these are some of the headlines that were being bandied around at that time. House arrest. You must stay at home. Britain on lockdown. End of freedom. PM says stay at home. It's a national emergency. And so on. So it's really quite a scary time. Lockdown. It will be over by May, we all had that thought. In the same optimistic spirit as the First World War, it will be over by Christmas. A couple of months perhaps, but the question still arose. What should I do to keep myself occupied through the imposed lockdown? I need a project. In fact, I started a few projects. But the one that I am speaking about today is my journey to create a virtual choir. Two of my interests are video making and creating music. I sing a bit in a choir. It seemed appropriate to be altruistic and help people through this by inviting them to sing in a virtual choir. I could gather up all the parts and edit them together and make a video for YouTube. I set out writing a song. It started as a rhythm, which went round in my head like an earworm. The words, "If you stand by me and if I stand by you," seemed to fit the rhythm. The best ideas are done walking. In our allowable 1 hour's walk a day, bits and pieces of words, rhythms, ideas came to me, and in return, I'd jot them down. On my return, I'd jot them down, and the words developed into if you reach out to me and if I reach out to you. This is how it all started out. Oh, hang on a minute. I don't know if you'll hear that. Just one moment. This is how it works out on the screen when I'm writing a tune. I searched the YouTube for virtual choirs. Not only had Gareth Malone jumped the gun, but my original idea had been usurped several times over, and their ideas are already on YouTube. Many voices, their individual videos collected and edited together to make excellent choirs. Many groups had got their act together to keep their choirs active. The first was the Camden Singers with True Colours. Australians were really keen. So were the Americans, the French, the Germans, and people from Holland were putting not only virtual choirs but orchestras as well. But I did come across a British band, a brass band, who created a lockdown virtual ensemble. Then another opportunity presented itself. Eric Whittaker was producing another virtual choir. He called it Number 6, Sing Softly, which will be premiered on Sunday. I had to be in on that. I registered just in time to record and submit my video. If ever there was a challenging song to sing, this was it. It was slow. It had extremely long notes, and there was little time to breathe. Right, and there we are. This is the website for Sing Gently. I don't know if you ever heard of Eric Whittaker, but he has some truly remarkable songs, quite choral pieces. Singing Gently is the 6th one in his canon of songs, and he pretty well invented the idea of virtual choir several years ago. The downside was that there were 17,500 people singing, and it took me a long time to find myself on the website, and there's me. Can you see the mouse? And there's 17,500 other pieces. It took me about 10 minutes to find, because he kept scrolling down and scrolling down and scrolling down and scrolling down and scrolling down until I eventually found it. So 17,500 people singing this song. There we are, 17,572. So I'll give you the link on Sunday, and you can see it, you can hear it for the first time as well. A dedicated Facebook group was set up, and whereby some of the singers could keep in touch. I was now about week 9 into lockdown, and there were the first signs that it was beginning to ease. My idea that would be dead in the water before I had time to succeed. I tried again to raise some interest, but to no avail. Just out of devilment, I realized that my contribution in raising the spirits of people during lockdown was to go unnoticed. I put my song on the Sing Softly Facebook page. I was delighted and overwhelmed when I received well over 30 inquiries of people who are willing to take part from all over the world. On Sunday the 14th of June was spent responding to emails and preparing backing tracks, the score and the written instructions. The sudden response was so great that in order to track them all, I had to set up a spreadsheet so that I could acknowledge each and every one of them. The administration was intense. There it is. I've blacked out some of the names so you can't see who they are, but for example, there were all the responses. By the time I'd finished, there's all sorts of information over here about altos, basses, sopranos, and all sorts of bits and pieces that I could I could use for the editing together. Software. I also started a Facebook group. I'm getting rather old for this. Could I work it out? One person wrote saying that she had sent a request and I had ignored her. You know that stinking feeling? I eventually found the right locations on the website, allowing my new members to be admitted for you. And so the odd bits of video started coming in. Not the surge that I had hoped for, but by Thursday the 25th of June, I had received 2 soprano parts, 2 altos, and a tenor. I was secure in the knowledge that I would provide the bass parts. I had the basics of a choir, well, a sextet at least. By Tuesday the 1st of July, I had 8 altos, 8 sopranos, 3 female tenors, and I was to be the sole bass section. Oh, I might consider straining up to help the tenors, or would they be helping me? Once I went out in all this, I received an urgent request. Had I downloaded a particular member's file? I had only sent it out the day before, and already she was returning it with a completed song. I went to download it, and the Dropbox dialog asked me to make an application to Dropbox to download her video file, asking me for a password. This hadn't happened before. I nearly did, and realized that this was a scam to compromise my email account. So my task in editing all this together lay ahead of me. I recorded myself singing, I will know Pavarotti. I recorded myself playing the mandolin, loads of bum notes. Rehearse and rehearse. I kept making the same mistakes. By July the 2nd, I took the day off as I had a dialogue with another person who promised that to record and send by the Friday. It gave me opportunity to spend some time in my wilderness garden. I began editing all the parts, the main parts, not having received the person's recording by Friday. But as I gathered up the videos together, I just checked my email and her file was available. I downloaded it, quietly cursing that I had to shoehorn her into the editing. She had a good, hearty voice and she had to go in the mix. The editing I had started in the morning and had gone some way to completing. That had to start from scratch again. Video editing is a complicated affair. I decided on a pod approach. Firstly, I would gather the voices into sopranos, the altos, the tenors, and the basses. Then record the audio for each section, joining them together in one big virtual choir. Onto this, I gathered each of the parts of the videos into pods of 4, which I could then arrange on the screen later. This is an example of the video editing layout. You can see that there are rows of pictures and wave formations that represents the sound. The sequencer allows me to nudge the sound and the video so it all matches up. So that's along here, if you can see my cursor going along, is the collected sound of everybody. Down here are rows of the different backgrounds and singers. So you notice that I've got, there's a green strip there, and that allows me to give you that background here because I can knock out the green screen and there. So it's quite complicated. And a lot can go wrong too. I had to keep my choir informed. I sent a small sample to say that it was nearly ready. I also had a double check their permissions from one who had sent their videos without their written authority. More administration. By Monday night of the 6th of July, the editing was getting close to completion. I uploaded the video onto YouTube and marked it as unlisted for the choir to review. Back came the recommendations. Back to the drawing board again. Well, not quite, but I was able to rectify the bits where the choir had made suggestions. Hopefully, in doing so, I would not create a new set of problems in the process. One suggestion was that I should include the nationalities of the participants. Even more administration. Sorry, not everybody responded to my request, but I can now say that I had singers from the United States, Canada, Argentina, Ghana, Poland, United Arab Emirates, and Iran. And here is the choir, my choir in its entirety. Out of the, how many people was it? About 40 people that applied. I think I've got about 14 that actually did the song. And there you are, by default, an international choir. Would I do it again? I know all the pitfalls and the problems and the hours I spent in not only writing the piece, but the administration of record keeping, grouping recordings, and finally the video editing. Which of the parts gave me the greatest satisfaction? When I first heard the voices of the sopranos and altos together in the opening sequence was a wow moment. The creative process is often the most fun. At that point, I'm thinking of the potential. Playing ideas can be a lot of fun, but as Thomas and Edison once said, genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. I declare I'm no genius, but the creative process is the most satisfying part. To bring something to fruition is where the hard work resides. On the 9th of July, I went live, and I guess you're interested in what this video is like. Here's the YouTube link. If you fancy rushing off afterwards, you need to note down the URL.
And if you reach out to me, and if I reach out to you, together we'll add our voice to see the sad crisis through. And if you reach out to you, and if you will sing with me, and we will bring you out together in harmony.
Thanks to everybody who's taken part in this project. Oh, I think you can unmute yourself again now. That's it.
Done. Very
There we
good.
go.
Did you have a chance to know if any of them had done anything like it before? Because they're all very confident, I thought.
It comes with setting a lot of material out, you know. So there was the score,
Yeah.
and the backing track, and the instruction on how to do it, to send it to me.
But I mean, even so, they're probably quite experienced singers. And
Some of them were. One of them said, "Could you sing it for me?" So I had to sing it for her.
Oh, right.
So I had to send her a particular thing. I've just noticed the first time when I was looking at the countries that everything was where everybody was from, I'd missed out the capital C in Canada, so I've got Canada.
Oh, right.
Oh well, I can pick up all the mistakes now, yeah, because it's such a long and
Oh, it's nice. It's a nice little song, and it's a nice little hum. I mean, have you studied a bit of composing? Because there's certain rules, aren't there?
Well, yeah, but you know,
Not that easy.
Rules are about breaking them, aren't they? So yes, there are certain
Well,
rules.
yeah, you can break them, but on the other hand, you need to be experienced the right way in order to know. It's like, you know, you've got to know a game before you know how to cheat in it.
Oh yeah, I suppose you learn a lot from just doing it.
Yeah, it's good. A nice little song.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm getting tired of it now.
No, well, yeah, nice little harmonies and everything. Well, think how Vera Lynn felt singing "We'll Meet Again." How many millions of times she sung that?
Yeah. Yeah, well, and the bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover, which was because we don't have bluebirds in the United Kingdom, so that is a non-starter as a song, but it wasn't about bluebirds, but you know, an American's view of it really. So there we are, because it's an American song basically.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing that.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it's a pity that more people didn't.
Yeah, well, that's all right. That's all right. I wasn't expecting great crowds, but it's okay.
Miggy was hoping to be back in time because it's her roofing day today.